never forget that. I, the king, who would let no other choose my woman for me. You shall not marry Katharine, they said. They made me protest against the betrothal. That was when I was but a child and powerless. But those days are past. Now it is my turn to decide, and none shall say me nay. How he revelled in his power, like a boy with new toys. He was 20, strong and healthy. He was well nigh perfect in the eyes of his subjects, and quite perfect in his own. And Katharine, his wife, loved him, for who could help loving this golden boy? "How happy you make me," she had told him once. "Aye," he had answered proudly, "I have I not, Kate? And you shall make me happy too. You shall give me sons." The blue eyes looked complacently into the future. He was seeing them all, boys, big boys, with red in their hair and their cheeks, with eyes as blue as aquamarines, boys strong and healthy, all made in the image of their glorious sire. She had determined that he should not be denied his desires. He should have sons, and within a few weeks of their marriage she had become pregnant. She had been very unhappy when her stillborn daughter had been born. She, who had suffered in dry-eyed silence for so many years, wept at the sight of Henry's disappointment. But he could not long believe in failure. The gods were smiling on him, even as his court and subjects did. All Henry desired must be his. But she had quickly become pregnant again, and this time she had given him all that he needed to make his contentment complete. In the cradle lay their son. What a happy omen that he should have been born on New Year's Day. Henry had stood by her bed, his eyes ablaze with triumph. "Here lies your Grace's son and heir," she had said. "My New Year's gift to you." Then Henry had fallen on his knees beside her bed and kissed her hand. She had thought that he was but a boy himself, for all his joy, all his pleasure in her and his son was in his face for everyone to see. "I would ask a boon of you," Katharine had whispered. "Name it, Kate," he had cried. "You have but to name it, and it is yours." He was ready to give her anything she asked, because he wanted her to know how he felt. He wanted the whole court, the whole world to know of his gratitude to the Queen who had given him his son. "It is that this prince should be called Henry, after his most noble, his most beloved sire." Henry's eyes had been moist for a moment. Then he had leaped to his feet. "Your wish is granted," he cried. "Why, Kate, as if I could deny you aught." She smiled, remembering. Almost at once he had been impatient to leave her because he was planning the christening ceremony, which he had decided must be more magnificent than any such ceremony had ever been before. This was his firstborn son, the heir to the throne, who was to be called Henry. He was the happiest of kings. So she, in whom love for him had grown out of her great gratitude, was the happiest of queens. It was small wonder that she had no wish to slip into the world of sleep, when waking she could savour such happiness. The king smiled with affection at his opponent in the game of tennis, which they had just finished. It had been a close game, but there had never been any doubt in the mind of the king that he would be the victor. There had been no doubt in the mind of Charles Brandon either. He was not such a fool as to think of beating the king, although he was ready to admit it was questionable whether he would have been able to. Henry excelled at the sport. Now Henry slipped his arm through that of his friend with the familiarity which was so endearing. They were almost the same height, but not quite. Charles Brandon was tall, but Henry was taller. Charles was handsome, but he lacked the pink and golden perfection of his king. He was wily, and therefore he always saw to it that although he jousted as a champion and excelled at all sports, he just failed to reach the perfection of his master. "It was a good game," murmured Henry, "and I thought at one time you would beat me." "Nay, I am no match for your grace." "I am not sure, Charles," answered the king, but his expression showed clearly